Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So, I am doing a voiceover. As you can see, this is not a tarot reading, but I'm doing a voiceover. I do these from time to time on this channel where I basically just talk about like my spiritual experiences. If you guys have any suggestions for any topics, that you'd like to see with these voiceovers, feel free to leave them in the comments. So far I've done one about remote viewing, and I've done one about how I started reading tarot. And sorry if you can hear noise in the background. I'm outside on my porch, but I hope it's not too distracting. But yeah, like I said, I've done one about remote viewing. I've done one about how to read tarot, and now I'm doing one about mediumship and about my experience with mediumship. Basically, the ability to interact with the dead, or to see and communicate with the dead. Now, I don't naturally have these abilities of mediumship abilities. I don't normally talk to the dead. I'm not able to interact with them normally. I am claircognizant and clairsentient, meaning that my intuitive downloads that I get them through my thoughts, and I get them through my feelings and emotions. I don't usually see anything. I don't usually hear anything, right? So yeah. At some point in time, though, I was able to see the dead and interact with the dead for a very short period of time. These mediumship abilities opened up. And so I wanted to basically share, that experience, because it was really, really wild. It was extremely wild. Okay. And as a bonus, I will throw in another spiritual experience where a spirit tried to enter my vessel. So like a spirit tried to low-key possess me. I'll explain later on in the reading. Yes, it is as scary as it sounds. Now, let's get into the mediumship first. So like I said, not all psychics are mediums, or not all psychics have mediumship abilities. I don't know why mine opened up. Well, I kind of do know why. I went through a very traumatic experience at the end of 2019, and my spiritual abilities heightened dramatically from this traumatic experience. My personal theory about this is that I'm already very psychically gifted, and I think that it's hereditary. I think that it's from my bloodline, because me, my brother, and my sister, we all have these psychic experiences, or these paranormal experiences, and so does my dad. My dad is very psychically in tune. He's very he's just very psychic. Like he's able to what is it called, prophesize. Like he's like a prophet, and he's able to predict like world events that are going to take place. Like a lot of the things that take place nowadays, that's going on in the government and things like that, he was predicting that would happen way back in the 90s. So I feel like it is like a genetic thing, these psychic abilities. So I feel like it's naturally there. So I feel like my crown chakra and my third eye, I feel like it's just they're naturally just open. But one thing that I struggle with is my root chakra. Now, my root chakra, or your root chakra, is the chakra that governs like your stability, your security. It's what keeps you tethered to the earth. So when people try to open up their psychic abilities, they really should start with strengthening their root chakra and then working their way up. Because if they try to just open their third eye, that's why a lot of people, you see them like experiencing psychosis when they try to open their third eye and their crown, because they're not rooted to the earth. They're not grounded, but they are trying to work their way from the crown down, which is not the right way to go. You're supposed to work your way from the root up, so that you're tethered and grounded to the earth, and you feel safe and secure with it on the earth. And when you open up your third eye and your psychic abilities, you won't kind of like experience psychosis, just float away into the spiritual realm. And that's why I mean, or that's what I mean when I say that some people, they open up their third eye and then you see them kind of wandering around, just like randomly spouting things and having to go to the mental hospital because they open up the third eye too quickly and they're not tethered to the earth. They're not grounded in reality. So I hope that made sense. But I went through a traumatic experience that completely like just destroyed my root chakra. My root chakra is already really weak because I experienced a lot of trauma. If you experience a lot of trauma, then your root chakra probably actively needs work. Actually, all of my lower chakras kind of need to be worked on. I have to do extensive grounding before I even start reading tarot and things of that sort. So yeah, I went through a traumatic experience in 2019, and it just completely like obliterated my root chakra, you could say. I was completely out of it. I felt like I was so dissociated and spaced out from this realm. I just didn't feel like I was tethered to the earth. I was like really, really like, I wouldn't say enmeshed with the spirit realm, but I was definitely more tapped into it than I normally would be. And I feel like that's what opened up my mediumship abilities, was that traumatic experience, and my root chakra just kind of completely destabilizing, I guess you could say. So one day, me and my twin flame were driving. I forget where we were going, but I remember I felt like something wasn't right. I felt like I wasn't in my body, and I'm trying my best to describe what I was feeling, but I just felt like I wasn't in my body at all. It just felt like I was leaving my body, like my mind was leaving my body. And this wasn't something that just happened suddenly. Like I said, I went through that traumatic event, and from then on, it was very hard for me to stay grounded in my body. I would have to go outside, put my feet in the earth, and try my best to stay in my body, but it was very difficult to do so. So that specific day, I just felt completely and totally out of it, like I was leaving my body. And so I was just like, okay, we have to go home, like this, I don't feel right. So we went home, and when we went home, that's when I saw my family members who had passed on. I saw them in my room. Okay. And the way that I saw them is very hard to explain, because it wasn't like I could see them as in like you can see human beings like in form, like in full form. I could see them like in my mind's eye, but I can clearly see where they were standing in the room, if that makes any sense. Okay. So there were 3 family members that showed up. There was my great grandmother, there was my aunt, and then there was my cousin. And I'm sorry if I keep kind of spacing out, or like you hear pauses in this part, because I'm trying to really hard to remember everything that took place. Like I don't want to leave anything out. So it was my great grandmother, my aunt, and my cousin. My aunt and my cousin, they died very young. They died when they were in their 20s, I believe. My aunt, she may have been in her early 30s, or late 20s, early 30s, but they both died in very tragic ways, and they died very young. My great grandmother, she died from a heart attack. So my great grandmother, she wasn't saying anything. She was just sitting in the room, and she was sitting on like this wooden throne, it looked like, and she was just sitting there, just kind of like staring at me. And then my cousin, he was also looking at me, but it's almost like they realized that I could see them, right? So I'm looking like, what are y'all doing here? Like, it was so crazy. I have not seen them in years. Like, my cousin died in what year did he die? In 2013. My aunt died in 2009 or 2010. So yeah, I haven't seen them in years, obviously. My great grandmother, she died even longer before that, probably like in 2004 or something like that. So I'm just looking at them like, wait, what are y'all doing here? And my cousin, he just looked really, really concerned, and he was just like, we're just really, really worried about you. I'm assuming that they were seeing all the traumatic shit that I had been experiencing, especially that huge traumatic event that I experienced at the end of 2019. I'm assuming they were around to see that, because my cousin just looked very disturbed. He was just like, I'm like really, really, really worried about you. And that kind of scared me, because my cousin is usually like very goofy, like very happy-go-lucky. So to see him that serious, I was like, holy shit, like this must be worse than I thought. Like, this experience that I had, like, it must be affecting me even more than I thought, even though I knew it was extremely traumatic experience. Like him being so concerned and looking as concerned as he did, that's how I figured like it's way more serious than I even know that it is, you know. And my aunt, she's a Sagittarius. My cousin, he's a Cancer. She just started like trying to like crack jokes basically, and trying to make me feel better, like trying to like uplift my spirits, like the Sagittarius that she is. And she started bringing up like old memories, like, remember that one time you let me borrow that skirt, and stuff like that, like just like bringing up memories where I could like laugh, or like I could basically just validate that like I'm really seeing her, like I'm really talking to her. And then she said something that like really spooked me out, because I didn't even realize, like my twin flame's right there the whole time, and he's like concerned, he's like taking care of me, because I didn't feel well. So while I'm talking to them, he's sitting right next to me. And my twin flame, he's very, very spiritually gifted, very spiritually in tune. So this doesn't scare him at all. Like, he has even more crazy, okay, let's not call them crazy, even more wild psychic experiences than I do. Like, literally, you would be blown away by the things that this man has experienced psychically. It's insane. But he's sitting right next to me, and then my aunt like acknowledged him, and it kind of like threw me off, because for a second I forgot he was in the room, because I'm like speaking to them, and it's just kind of weird how those worlds can cross. Like, you feel like you're in kind of in the spirit realm talking to them, you kind of forget like in the human realm that you have someone sitting right next to you. So she was just like, tell him I said thank you. And I was just like, what? Like, I just kind of looked like, wait, oh, who, him? And she was just like, yeah, tell him I said thank you for being nice to my daughter. And I was like, oh yeah, like he did meet your daughter. He met my cousin because what's it, we went to go pick my cousin up from school a couple of times, and she came to stay at my house, and my cousin is my aunt's daughter. So I didn't even put two and two together that like my aunt could see that he had been interacting with her daughter, and they got along very well. And so he was like, tell him to thank, I said, thank you for being nice to my baby. And I was just like, okay, like it just kind of like creep, like it's just spooked me out, because like I said, sometimes you don't even realize, like during that time, it's like, it's so crazy because it makes you realize that these spirits are like the spirits of your family members, like they're around. Like I was just, it blew my mind that she actually saw that and acknowledged that he had interacted with her daughter and was like nice to her daughter, like came to pick her up from school and was helping her out, things of that sort. So I was just like, okay, I'll tell him. So I told him, like, she said thank you for being nice to my baby. And he's like, oh, tell her I said you're welcome. So I told her, and I basically started paying attention to my twin flame, and like I turned to him and was just telling him what was going on. Like, yeah, I can see them, I can see my family, this is what they're saying. And so of course he believed me, because like I said, he has even more like wild spiritual experiences. There's no reason for him to ever doubt me ever. So yeah, it was really, really, really wild. It was a wild experience. Like I said, I could see them in my mind's eye. I could see them like where they were at in the room, where they were positioned in the room. And my aunt, like her energy, I could already feel it. I could already feel my aunt's energy from the moment I moved down south, because I moved to the city that she died in. So I could feel her energy as soon as I moved down south. So the fact that I could actually see her when my mediumship opened up, it really shouldn't have been a surprise. And my cousin's energy, I could also feel his energy very strongly when I moved down south. I don't know what it is about the south that as soon as I got here, I could feel my spiritual abilities heightening anyway. Like even before that traumatic experience, even before my mediumship opened, like something about the south, as soon as I stepped off of the train, when I moved down south, it was something about the south that just heightened all of my spiritual abilities, all of my psychic abilities heightened as soon as I got here. So again, that shouldn't have been shocking either, but it was just really, really crazy. And then a friend showed up, and I'm not going to speak too much about this friend because this is really my twin flames friend. A friend showed up, and all of the fear, like any type of fear that was in the room, like any fear that I had or my twin flame had, or I guess that we were experiencing, it left the room as soon as this friend showed up. And I could see him standing there, and he just looked like a warrior, the way that he was standing there, like the pose, like it's so hard to explain like what I was seeing, but it's like the way he was just standing, like he looked like a warrior, the way he was standing there. And when he showed up, he didn't say anything, but all the fear just like left the room as soon as he showed up. And I told my twin flame was like, yeah, that makes sense, because one thing that he will always say is, I don't fear anything but the Most High. That's what he would say when he was living. So it made sense that in spirit, it's the same thing. He has no fear, fearless. And so when he showed up, it's like he took all the fear out of the room. And so then they started to go away. Oh God, there's a bug on me. Sorry. I'm sitting outside on my porch. But then they started to go away. And first my grandmother went, and then my cousin went, and then my aunt she stuck around. My aunt stayed around for days. She was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna stay here. I'm just gonna wait until I'm gonna make sure that you're okay. And I was just like, okay. So I ended up falling asleep. And after that, I couldn't see my aunt anymore, but I could still hear her. Like I could still communicate with her telepathically very, very clearly. So she was basically just telling me that she's at peace. She was telling me that the love that she was searching for on earth, that she gets to experience it nonstop now. Like it's never a time where she isn't experiencing it, which obviously made me cry for hours. Just because my aunt, she just went through so much on this earth, just like a lot of us do, searching for love in the wrong places. And she said that, yeah, the love that she searched for on this earth, now she experiences it nonstop. She never not experiences it now. So yeah, it was beautiful. It was. And I am grateful that I got to experience that, even though at some point I was like, okay, seriously, I don't want these abilities. Like, I don't want to be able to, if I could just speak to my aunt, then I would be fine. But I know that if your mediumship abilities open up, then it opens up to, other spirits as well. So I was just like, okay, well, I'm happy with it closing, because I don't want to interact with any other spirits. So yeah, that's what happened. It was wild. I hope that I explained that correctly. Now, let's talk about the little bonus at the end. The time that a spirit almost possessed me, okay? It was around this same time period where my mediumship opened up. And at first, I thought this experience was just me losing my mind, but then I came across another psychic that said that he went through something similar. He said that he went through a very traumatic event and he was very vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, spirits can sometimes try to enter your vessel, especially when you're a highly sensitive being and you are a psychic. They could try to like push into your vessel because these spirits, especially earthbound spirits, they are wanting a body. They're still tethered to this earth. They're still attached to this earth. So they're wanting a body, or they're wanting to be able to communicate through a body. So some of them are somewhat confused and they will try to push their way into your body. So this spirit, I have no clue who this person was. Definitely not related to me. I feel like it was someone who may have died in my apartment or like near my apartment because oh, I forgot to mention a little fun fact. Near my apartment there was a morgue. What is it? A mortuary? Is it a morgue or a mortuary? I think it was called the Divine Mortuary. It was like literally right next to my apartment. Okay, so I just know there was earthbound spirits in that area all over the place. Okay, so this spirit, like I said, might have died in my apartment, in the complex, or could have been from that area. So I was very vulnerable, like I said, had went through that traumatic experience, and one day I just felt very off. And I had a lot of days like this after that traumatic experience. I felt very off. I felt very spaced out. I felt very dissociated. I felt like I wasn't fully in my body. And I started to get a little afraid because it became more intense than it usually is, like this dissociated state I was in. And so I was becoming very afraid. So my twin flame was trying to calm me down, was trying to take care of me. And he's so cute. He was crying because he was so afraid because my condition was just wasn't good. And I felt this spirit try to push her way into my vessel. Like, I kid you not. She was trying to like hijack my body. I could feel it. And so I'm feeling violated as hell. The best way that I could describe it is like, you know, on Get Out, where the like you can still feel like the person's body who originally inhabited the body is still there consciously, but they can't really like speak or move or do anything. And then there's like another entity like walking for them and talking for them and taking over their vessel. It was like that. Like I was conscious and aware, but it's like my mouth was moving and I was saying things and it wasn't my voice and it wasn't me. It was like a spirit literally trying to push its way into my body. It's so hard to explain. If you've had this experience, please comment below, because I've only come across one psychic who said they had this experience. It's not like, it doesn't feel like possession to the point where your whole body is like taken over, but you could just feel they're trying to invade. Like, it's like basically the best way to describe it is like there's no boundaries between you and the spirit. Like they can like, it's like they're enmeshing with your energy, if that makes sense. So she was like in my body and she was like talking to my twin flame. She was just like, what's wrong? Why are you crying? And like low-key flirting with him. And it really pissed me off, if we're being honest. So I like basically like shoved her out of like I just used all my willpower and like shoved her out of my vessel pretty much. And called my godmother, and my godmother pretty much prayed over me and just like prayed that it's I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into it because it's going to take too long, because then I would have to explain like, okay, I'll go into that in another video. But just know this, my godmom just prayed over me. She prayed over me, and basically it sort of like sealed my energy off to the point where I felt like spirits could not get in any longer, if that makes sense. So yeah, this damn spirit really tried to like hijack my body and was low-key flirting with my twin flame. Like, unbelievable. The disrespect is at an all-time high. But I'm sure she didn't know what she was doing. I'm sure she didn't know. Well, maybe she did. Who knows? But luckily or thankfully, I'm not living in that apartment anymore. We had a lot of terrible spiritual experiences in that apartment, not gonna lie. So yeah, we're not living there anymore, thank God. But those are my experiences with mediumship and low-key, getting possessed. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I really don't want to hear anything about like, oh, demonic because you read tarot cards. That was the devil trying to enter your body. I'm not trying to hear that. Okay, please keep those comments to yourself. Like, I'll leave the comments open for us to discuss, but those type of comments, they won't do anything but piss me off. So just be mindful of that. But yeah, if you've ever had any experiences like this, please let me know in the comment section down below. I hope this was mildly interesting or entertaining. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.